Hello and welcome back, everybody. We are here for the final round of day one at Ascent Boston. Round 9 coming up. I am joined here with Maindeck Dan. Dan, how are you doing today?
We've had some grinds of rounds. It's some long grinds going on, but it's been an incredible day with lots of just super cool matchups, lots of super cool finishes there. I think a lot of players out there we have a lot of players probably equally rooting for this Fire Vanitas deck, but also kind of hoping, I don't want another like Vanitas meta situation. So I think we had some fans in both camps of the performance of the deck throughout the day and then in the last round as well.
Yeah, I remember that event very well.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
It was, I think it was a 5.5 or 6 hour top 8.
Yeah,
but,
what a grind. But yeah, we're gonna take a quick look at the current standings, see where everyone stands going into round 9. This should be very interesting. Look at that first place Modest Mewtwo. We had them on the stream earlier. Look at 3 Vanitas decks in the top 4. Oh my goodness.
2 Luxem Zanders?
Look at these Jins. The 3 Jins in a row. Sano, Emp, Ali. Oh man, wow, look.
Oh, Joe Quell on the Water Zander there too.
Leo Blade. Corbin makes a day 2 for the first time. Maindeck Corbin, congratulations. Wow, that's crazy.
There's a lot of cool decks up here, actually. I'm really excited to see how many of these players on the 15 mark here managed to make it into the last game. There's a lot of win-and-ins.
There are a ton of win-and-ins right now, including both Maindeck Stevo and Maindeck Mitch that I caught there. And interestingly, too, we saw the world champ himself, Maindeck Taylor, getting knocked out, actually. I don't know where his name is on here, but he's not on a win-and-in anymore.
Big sad. But he does have that invite to the, I believe, the Gauntlet, regardless.
Yeah. He's already got his Gauntlet invite, so he's all right. But yeah, this has been sort of a savage event, obviously, with just like lots of crazy decks. A lot of people, like we talked about early on in the event, a lot of people playing decks that they're comfortable with and seeing how it does in the meta, which means fewer of those just like hard meta reads, other than the Chess Club deck, Horse and Taxes.
Horse and Taxes.
Yeah,
some of them want to call it Pony Toss. I guess you guys can let us know how you feel about that. Pony Toss versus Horse and Taxes.
Yeah, drop the name in chat. Let us know.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
What the name of this deck should be. Although, I mean, I think, of course, Chess Club has the right to name it, but maybe they'll like the name you come up with.
Someone did call it Pony Toss Pretty Derby, and I choked laughing on that one. That was a really funny one.
Is good. That is good.
But too many good things. We're very meta nowadays. We're really in there, breaking the fourth wall.
It's been a wonderful day. It's been a lot of just incredibly cool deck lists that we've gotten to see in play today, and I think, I mean, obviously it wasn't surprising to see the performance of Ryle today. Lots of Ryle decks topping, doing super well. But then some surprises, too. I think a lot of Fire Aggro decks, we're not seeing those quite making into the top cuts there. They're having a bit of trouble, but we do finally have our, oh, wow, this will be good. Okay, we have our last match of the day, and here we have Maindeck Mitch on
ZTR God himself.
Yep, ZTR God on Water Fractals against Jujuwu, Eric Q, on, I'm glad you're here for this one, Tyler.
It's my bread and butter.
Yeah.
The Serene Fire Luxem Zander Blinding Steel. A bit of an interesting setup, because this deck is taken on the Ryle package very efficiently. Mm-hmm. It's basically the 8th Creative Shock, but almost better in a sense, right? You can find more aggressive early, like, high roll lines and faster ways to find, like, a hard push lethal. But the biggest thing this deck got, I think, is the addition of Regal Inquisition to the game. You know, we've talked about this. I've talked with Isaac about this. Regal Inquisition added to the game totally changes the way anything can be played. What are your thoughts on Regal Inquisition going into this matchup against Mitch on Fractals?
Yeah, the worst thing is going in against this match and not playing a level 3 deck yourself, so not having your own Regal Inquisitions to try and take out of the Luxem cards. In this case, that Inquisition can completely eliminate Mitch's Glimmering Refusals, his damage sources. It is pretty strong to play against the Fractal deck, but it has to resolve itself. And of course, Mitch is going to probably try to play around that with his Glimmering Refusals. This is an interesting match to see because we have an empowered Fire Zander versus a depowered Water Fractals, right? So previous to this metagame now, previous to Distorted Reflections, I would have said, well, it's still in Fractals camp. I mean, if the Wind one, different story. Fire Luxem, I'll take Fractals any day. Last metagame. This metagame, this will be interesting.
Yeah, it's tough because we've seen multiple iterations of fractals losing power over time. Dissonant Fractal Ban was the first one. It's fine. Deck was still great, had a lot of opportunity to it. We saw it do fantastic at Worlds, Now Lost in Thought is banned. A lot of replacement here is actually in the Thronekeeper Bullfrog. So it's a 0-4 taunt with Floating Memory. In this matchup, don't think it's going to do a lot. So it kind of makes me think that you're kind of on the back foot as a Water Fractals player here.
You are, but if your matchup was previously pretty good already,
Pretty even, maybe?
How far is it? I would have favored Fractals just previous to this, because Fire Zander still had trouble getting that hand together before you kind of had built up everything, right? But that hand's faster now. So this is definitely going to be a fight for both players to be able to secure that victory, I think. And we still have Mitch respecting these decks with like the Jujuwu. Jujuwu still is a really strong card to play in this matchup. Say, Jujuwu, name Incapacitate. All right, go ahead, try and Inquisition me. Good luck.
Yeah, you're basically forced to draw into an Excalibur, right? Excalibur is like your only hard answer to that.
Yeah, and that's down to 2 in this list now. There's one more in the sideboard, but it's going to, yeah, man. Crystallized Destiny here, obviously quite good against the refracting lines, but Mitch is going to go for a big burst a lot of the time and use that to take it out too. So, oh man, I think that at least for the final match of the day, getting to see this great players on very interesting adapted decks following the previous metagame, this should be a good way to close it out.
Yeah, looking a little more deep into the deck lists, I think one of the things that actually makes me think that you're pretty disadvantaged as Zander is your material deck Divine Relic slots. You have Grand Crusader's Ring, and then in the sideboard you have Art of War. No Quicksilver Grail is more difficult to play around. Fracturize does gain more value on things like the Safeguard Amulet. Also, Jujuwu is not playing Sovereign Sanctuary. It's another Exalted card that was released with Distorted Reflections. It says if a unit you control would be dealt damage, this turn, prevent 2.
Right. We saw a ton of that. Jin was playing that 2 matches ago, round 7. We saw Jin using that to great advantage, just holding off this board full of allies turn after turn. In this case, that burst asunder. Again, packets of 2 damage each. Sovereign Sanctuary says you cannot burst me until next turn, which is a pretty strong thing to throw out there when all you're trying to do is find every possible line to disable the Fractal player's win. So yeah, lacking that's a little bit tough. Still respecting with the Safeguard Amulet, right? That's really important too. A lot of decks are forgoing Safeguard Amulet or boarding it in, but we do have that. Now, Mitch is still playing the Crystalline Mirror on the other hand, which when there's no Quicksilver Grail protecting that Safeguard Amulet, that mirror is a pretty easy, just cool. Take it out, pass turn, and then get ready to kill next. So, yeah. I mean, material deck lines will be so important in this matchup.
Yeah, also looking at Mitch's a list, I did notice he has 2 Novice Healers in the sideboard. Something a little different from the other people who I saw playing Fractals, the other main deck and True Champion.
Mitch liked the Novice Healers. Mitch likes that recovery against those aggro decks, just something you can throw down, recover, potentially take something off board. But it looks like we're ready to start the game. Jujuwu has the first turn going, Spirit of Serene Fire, and we're going to get that 6 card now. Once you're kind of the Zander guy here, what are we looking for?
We're looking for Rile the Abyss, Creative Shock, Dungeon Guide, potentially a Juggle Knives. But I think in this matchup specifically, you want to dig for the better high roll, which is looking for Rile the Abyss and a Liminal Guide. If you can Rile the Abyss, Liminal Guide, it's going to be a better setup for you. So it looks like he kept a Luxem site there.
Yeah, I was wondering, I mean, obviously some of that stuff, like, sure, I want to draw a lot of cards, but are there Luxem cards that you must hold on to in this matchup? That's a good question.
I'd bottom everything. I would bottom everything unless I had like 3. If I had 3 Gleaming Cuts, I might keep 1. For everything else, I'm probably willing to put it at the bottom unless I have 4 of it. If I have 4 of it, I have to keep 1. And it's because you have Luxera's Map. Luxera's Map allows you to shuffle your deck and search for a specific card. Having the flexibility between Luxera's Map as well as having so many cards that let you dig with the Rile the Abyss, and you have, Juggle Knives, you also have the Creative Shocks, it's just a tough position to be in.
Yeah. That makes sense. So Mitch starts off with the Mint Spirit of Water. This is the first place Santa Clara that we all like to enjoy. We enjoyed watching him win that with that incredible match against Henke. That was iconic. Going for the Fractal of Rain imbued first. Actually, I didn't catch it was imbued.
It's imbued with a Jujuwu and a Refracting Missile, I believe.
Yeah, the Jujuwu was shown, and that's a big thing. Mitch already has the Jujuwu in hand. And Jujuwu, the only answer to that, like you said, is that Excalibur Cleansing Light. So that definitely could come up and be kind of what stymies Juju from getting a win or lets Mitch kind of push in for victory.
Yeah, so Jujuwu is going to get the creative shock there. He did have the fast cure. Now that is the promo fast cure, the Hoshikawa Asara one from the Nijisanji collab. Beautiful promo alt art here.
Very cool. Mitch with a 3 fractal start. That's a great place to be in this matchup. Again, you don't really have time on your side. You kind of just have to get going right away. So I think Mitch happy to see that.
Jujuwu, I believe on the glimpse from Zander, did see a Rile the Abyss there.
Ooh.
And I think
is that a liminal?
It's a liminal guide.
Yeah,
leaving both on top.
I think that's yeah, that seems like a pretty good. I'll leave both those there to me.
It's pretty solid. Draw the Rile, play the Rile, draw the liminal guide. He does have the dungeon guide in hand, so he's able to go to 3 pretty quickly off of that. Thieving Cut here is actually fairly efficient. 1 card in hand for Mitch. You might as well send the 3 damage, cycle that 1 prep counter, and be able to draw a card off that, right?
Right. We have to mention, too, both these players are on their win-in. It is 6 wins to be able to make it to day 2. So one of these players, unless there's a draw in the match, one of these players will make it into day 2, and the other will not. So this is definitely a lot on the line here. Mitch, going for that Censor of Restful Peace, do we have anything that deals with that here, or are we just...
Yeah, there are, I believe, Reduced to Ashes, but only in the sideboard.
Okay.
And then the main board just has the Excalibur. So at this point, it's going to be playing for value. Trying to get the extra dig off the Rile the Abyss. It's no longer going to be relevant for the liminal guide.
And this is a strong situation for Mitch now. Getting that Censor down, then getting to play the Zhang Zhao, kind of what these Fractal decks are always looking for. Get the first Zhang Zhao resolved, pull yourself out of that low influence, but now you have the high influence and the Fractals in play, and you're sitting pretty good at that stage.
Yeah, turn 2 Zhang Zhao first materialization is a wonderful feeling to get. We do love to draw cards, replay our influence. Plus, additionally, you're going to get the chip damage, right? That 1 chip damage adds up over turns. A lot of people don't really consider it too much, especially against Luxem, where you do have the Luxem sites to recover. But getting the early damage can push you into a range where you find lethal with a quick Shimmering Refraction plus a burst, or a Refracting Missile plus a burst.
Yeah, the damage adds up, and a lot of people really think, wow, yeah, cool. Fractals, big combo deck, just burst asunder, do 100 damage, that's how you win. But you watch these players play in all these streams at this high level, and it's a lot of stringing together sources of damage to win most of their games, and much fewer, here's the burst, I win.
I'd be interested to see if Jujuwu goes for the backup charger this turn. Could potentially try to draw into interaction for... I guess there's no interaction because it's in the sideboard here, so there's no Reduced to Ash in the main. Probably worth just turboing. He does have the Gleaming Cut in his hand, so being able to use that earlier on would be effective.
Yeah, now Mitch having 4 Fractals in play means that Glimmering Refusals right now are at pay 4 to negate, or your card is negated, right? And so there is a little bit of careful play that has to take place here. Making sure we Gleaming Cut first, exactly like this, because if not, that could get banished, and that could prevent a lot of Jujuwu's ability to get that advantage when he goes to level 2.
So the Thieving Cut coming in here is going to go straight to face, ignoring the Zhang Zhao. You don't really need to deal with it, right? You're not playing a win deck where you want to Stifling Trap it, so you don't want to deal with that state-based action interaction where you can... I guess, you can talk about the interaction there. If you have 2 Zhang Zhaos on the field, Stifling Trap, you want to do it. How come you can't, Dan?
Yeah, we talked about that earlier in the Tristan matchup, but it's the idea that when you have 2 Zhang Zhao in play, they're both unique allies, so one of them has to be sacrificed. Now, if you want to use Stifling Trap to negate a non-enter trigger, it's not the trigger you're targeting, it's the ally that you're targeting. So as you said, state-based effect, you have to sacrifice one of those. You just sacrifice the new one, and then there is no way to target it with a Stifling Trap, so that there's no way to actually negate that on-enter here. We do see Mitch going for the backup charger here now, just trying to draw some cards, still holding back on any of these big materializes like the Diao Chan, and just trying to build up enough, enough influence to make sure he can play the game against everything Jujuwu was doing.
I was interested to see whether or not Mitch was going to go for a little greedier of a play. If he had held the Fracturize in his hand, he could have, in Recollection, done it, but it would have been the same amount of cards overall. So I guess... you probably just don't want to show as many things as you can, right? You want to hide information away from your opponent so they don't know what your overall game plan is.
Yeah, that is interesting. That is, I think, a good thing to consider here. I'm trying to take a peek at Mitch's hand, and we do see a Fast Cure, and we see Refracting Missile as well. It looks like we're going to go for this Fractal of Insight. We're going to get just decide if we're going to get a Glimpse 2 here. from Mitch, I think, and see if he wants to dig any deeper. Of course, with that Fractal of Rain imbued out there, it's very possible for him to try and gain some additional, it would be possible to gain additional value if that Sensor of Restful Peace weren't actually stopping him from getting any potential floating memory as well. Mitch is just going to go ahead and it looks like is going to get the glimpse, going to have it come in hindered and placing 2 of the cards from the top on the bottom, not seeing anything he wants. And I think Mitch is looking for a pretty particular set of cards here. You know, you want those power cards, you want those Glimmering Refusals, you want those Burst Asunders. As Mitch just continues to build fractals, and we know with this Fracturize in hand, it's going to be very capable of setting up another one with that Power Cell on the next turn. That'll bring Mitch up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fractals and getting to the point where these lines, when you get to that 6, 7 fractal stage, you have multiple 2-card lines that just do a crazy amount of damage and can take out many of these champions. So it's definitely a place where Mitch is just happy to kind of develop, build, and as long as he can hold up enough interaction to stop Jujuwu from doing anything too crazy, he feels like he's in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, so we're going to see the level up to Zander Deft Executor here is going to banish 2 Resolute Stands. Kind of good to banish those in this matchup.
Oh, yeah.
Especially after we saw Mitch milling that Frostborn Paladin. So he doesn't quite need those for interaction, wants to keep all the Luxem cards instead. We're going to see a Dungeon Guide come out here. Does Mitch choose to? He chooses not to interact with that, so the Dungeon Guide will resolve. We're going to be seeing Zander Blinding Steel come out here.
I think Mitch is much more interested in just trying to hold back this interaction for when something like a Lightweaver's Assault play starts taking place. He's done a good job so far of building influence, so unless there is a crazy amount of Luxem in Jujuwu's hand, he should be able to hold up that interaction. Plus, you're playing Diao Chan, right? That's one of the big, powerful things is that Diao Chan, unlike most other champs or all other champs, can play a card from memory, which is a nice benefit to have going into the Zander matchup.
Yeah, so it looks like he's going to take the 1 damage to face here. Zander Blinding Steel, kind of chilling. I believe we're going to see a backup charger here. I know that Jujuwu did have a turbo charge in hand, so this would be an efficient way to put cards down into memory on the stack of Zander Blinding Steel's trigger. We're going to see a Fracturize come out here. So Fracturize targeting, I believe,
actually targeting the Sensor. Yep. Does Mitch have 2 Fracturizes? Because the 2... That could mean quite a bit here too, because this is already charging the Sensor because this is ready, I think, and now that Jujuwu has reached level 3, a lot of the cards in the graveyard are just kind of dead. But it does turn on potentially Mitch getting floating memory now, so Mitch might be able to use this float to do for example, the Diao Chan level he's held back on, or one of his Scepters, his Wand of Frost.
I think we're looking for end-step refracting missiles here just for damage.
I think so.
I mean, it's going to be a lot of damage, right? That's 6 fractals coming in, so this is going to come in for 7.
The end step here, this is also going to potentially bait out incapacitates or anything, can clear the way for some pretty scary lines from Mitch. But it looks like Jujuwu is just going to take that. Yeah, take that hit, 7 damage. Just 16 left to deal, and Mitch has 6 fractals in play and a pretty healthy hand. Definitely some extremely lethal lines that are very, very capable of coming out, especially with that Jujuwu that he's been holding back on the whole game.
And Jujuwu going to be pretty efficient here. Jujuwu naming Incapacitate, like you said in the pregame, would be really, really efficient, right? He wouldn't need to use a Glimmering Refusal to deal with damage. He could save the Glimmering Refusal for things like a Lightweaver's Assault at fast speed so that he can recover off of the reveals.
Right, and we haven't talked about what Jujuwu does specifically, but Jujuwu is a powerful Fantasia, not a Fractal, but a powerful Fantasia that allows you to name a card, and then that card costs 2 plus X more to play, where X is the number of Fantasia you have in play. So it will effectively render whatever card you name in this deck unplayable.
Yeah, unless Jujuwu manages to find like triple Gleaming Cut, like Bob, for example, the triple Gleaming Cut first reveal.
The Bob line, oh my goodness.
And drawn to 1,000,000 influence. We're going to see it out. Jujuwu coming out here. It's a really, really fantastic setup. So, I mean, is there any other reason to name something besides Incapacitate?
I've been trying to hear. I mean, I would be naming Incapacitate pretty quickly here. Looking at Mitch's hand, yeah, I mean, he's got the Shimmering Refraction and the Burst Asunder. So all you have to do is make sure you can deal enough damage to get through that Spirit of Serene Fire. Let's not forget that hiding underneath our champion lineage here is a Recover 6 available. So we're gonna -6 from the amount of damage as long as we remember to actually use that at the right time.
Yep, so Refracting Missile most likely coming out here from mid. It's going to come in for 7. So it'll come in for 1, basically, assuming the Serene release happens. So we're going to see Jujuwu at 11. And then from 11 here, we're instead going to see your Frostborn CPR instead.
Look at this crazy Frostborn Paladin. Where did that come from?
I wonder if that came from a main deck member, potentially.
Goodness, what a cool card to play here. That's awesome.
Oh. Frostborn Paladin can come in for 3. Beautiful CPR creative promo.
Oh, and thank you to production for putting up the correct Frostborn Paladin in the card image as well. Beautiful to see it. As soon as I got that, I thought, yeah, I mean, we're shuffling this up. Here you go, Mitch.
So Jujuwu debating to take that damage or not. Does take the 13 damage, or the 3 damage to go to 13, sorry. Frostborn Paladin's not that buff. Not a 13 damage.
Are you sure the creator promo doesn't do extra damage, like 10 more?
I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it does.
It at least might be a good luck buff on Mitch's side right now because this is looking pretty good. Mitch has a lot of tools available. Glimmering. Actually, is there a Glimmering Refusal in his hand? There's a burst. No, there's just damage. He's got all damage sources right now and a fast cure.
Is he gonna play another Frostborn Paladin? Nope, just a Shimmering.
Yeah, he's got Shimmering Refraction. Just gonna push this damage here.
I think he's trying to force the lineage release. That's what it looks like he's trying to do here. So Shimmering Refraction is going to come in for 7. So that counts Fantasias, not just Fractals. So Shimmering Refraction with Jianyu on the field is going to be equivalent to a Refracting Missile, just at a little cheaper of a cost.
This is pretty tricky to be in, to go to 20 now, with Mitch having a bunch of fast speed cards that actually go for kill. And he just goes for Burst Asunder. He just says, do you have in-cap? I mean, you can't in-cap.
You can't play in-cap. You can. The only thing you could play is you could play Lightweaver's Assault and Reveal, but I don't think it's enough. So he plays the Luxem site to draw a card as a last-ditch effort. He doesn't have anything. He has nothing to deal with this.
And that's
it's going to come in for 14 damage, I believe.
Yeah, that's it. That 14 damage bursts asunder. Plenty of damage to take game 1 for main deck Mitch on the Water Fractal deck, even against currently the buffed Fire Luxem deck. But like you said, Tyler, there is some action that can come in from the side that might totally change how this matchup flows. Why don't let's go over again what Jujuwu is going to look for. Jujuwu on the back foot now going into game 2. What does he need to win?
So we're 100% seeing the reduced dash come in, right? We saw the main deck sensor. Sensor needs to be dealt with in that regard. So 2 reduced dash come in. Probably all 3 Regal Inquisitions come in. And I would be hard-pressed not to think that the 1 Excalibur comes in. So we're going to see 6 cards come in here.
The Crystallized Destiny, too, though. I mean, like, if he had the Destiny there, couldn't that have been pretty solid?
Destiny does exist as an option. I'm not sure if he's willing to put it in. So I think I'd rather look at what you want to take out first and then see from there. So looking at this, 4 Resolutes maybe could come out. I think the 2 Vanish from Sites can come out, so that's 6 cards. And maybe, just maybe, you could be willing to take out, I want to say the Thieving Cuts.
I was about to say it. I didn't want to say it in front of you because you're so assassin experienced, and I don't want you to be like, no, you would never do that. But it was like, I mean, the Thieving Cut is just value when you get to hit, draw, use it, prep, and then take it back. But is that good enough in this situation?
So Thieving Cut's really efficient because when you level 1 Thieving Cut, go to level 2, you regain the influence.
Yep.
So it goes neutral, and then you regain the influence, and you can use it for your banishment on the Dungeon Guide turn. So overall, like, Thieving Cut is super efficient. It's like one of the most efficient removal things, but it's also just 3 damage. Like, 3 damage is still 3 damage.
Yep. And that's, I think, not where Jujuwu wants to be, though. I mean, I think Jujuwu needs to... Jujuwu just saw that Jianyu come down. Does not know how many Jianyu Mitch plays, right? And that's a big question, because we've seen these Fractal decks run the gamut from 0 Jianyu anywhere, 1 Jianyu main, 1 Jianyu main one side, 2 Jianyu main. Those are usually... I haven't seen a lot above 2. But the question is, how often is Mitch going to put this down, name incapacitate, and say, you don't get to play with me anymore?
Honestly, a lot of the time when you're sideboarding this, it really is vibes-based. Sometimes you're like, you know what? 1 less Juggle Knives. Let's just throw something else in there.
That's true.
So when you're looking at like a Luxem list, when you want to sideboard cards out and it's more than what you already have as a concept, you're like, I know I want to swap these out in this matchup. You know, you've created your sideboard coming into the event. You might just feel like, hey, man, I want 1 more Crystallized Destiny. Like, I know this matchup feels great with 2, and I can bring in the Regal Inquisitions and the Reduced Dash. I'm feeling 1 more Destiny. He is playing a lot of these big Shimmering Refractions, these big Refracting Missiles. I'm just going to drop a Juggle Knives because it's great. I can dig a little more, but I don't need it, right? That's not what's going to win me the game, so I'm going to take 1 out. I know it sounds weird to say it's like really vibes-based, but you can genuinely take out a lot of different things because they serve as tools with a purpose, right? The purpose is I need to dig, and I need to have an option to return an assassin card back. Sometimes you just don't need it. So you just don't do it. You're like, I'm going to bring in my interaction cards because interaction's more valuable in this matchup.
You draw Juggle Knives and you draw a Thieving Cut. You don't need both. You just need one to resolve, right? To be able to get that sort of like play this level and then bring it back later. So I mean, absolutely. But then if you take them out and you see none, you know, you're not feeling like great about that either. So yeah, tough calls that are being made on Mitch's side. We talked about this this list a little bit earlier. I mean, I think the thing is, a lot of Mitch's sideboard is not like very well teched in particular to being able to change this matchup very much. There are cards like Nullifying Mirror. Those can prevent him from having to put cards down against Luxem, but often when you're mirroring that, it's kind of too little too late. It's not really getting you where you need to be. That Safeguard Amulet, in a similar sense, can prevent damage from the Lightweavers, but if there's a Safeguard Amulet, it's really just going to be, well, okay, it's just going to force Jujuwu to play around it instead. But yeah, anyway, let's jump into this because we already have these players going off here with Jujuwu going for that Spirit of Serene Fire, and then ZTR going for the Minth into the Rested Fractal of Insight. Going to choose one top, one bottom.
So Dan, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Going into this match, I mean, the opener's very standard, right? We're going to see a fast cure. There's no Creative Shock, no Rattle the Abyss, no way to efficiently get that out there, but we need the controlled banishment for the level up. Looking at Mitch's deck list, do you think he's heads up enough to say, I'm going to bring in Song of Frost for Striking Illuminance? Or is that a non-factor for him?
Mitch definitely knows about Striking Illuminance, is very aware that it is one of the kill cons. I think it's going to be a similar question like we were asking about Zander, is if he's got cards he can take out, then it's something he'll put in to have the out. I feel like in this match, though, we have a few things that are easy, like the Thronekeeper Bullfrogs, and like I said, there's not a lot that was in his list that's good. So I think those are easy to bring in over the Bullfrogs and just say, that's fine. That's I do not care about this.
Well, Mitch on the board, 2 damage with the Refracting Missile, playing kill spell number 1.
And Mitch is then going to bring out his Divine Relic, Sacramental Rite.
It's almost like Mitch won Worlds or something.
This is the first time we've seen Sacramental Rite on stream, so this is very exciting. For those of you at home, this was Maindeck Taylor's victory card for winning Worlds this year. It is a Quicksilver Grail with a minor extra effect that should not realistically ever come up in competitive play that allows Mitch to become Ascendant as well when he activates. But for all intents and purposes, this is a Quicksilver Grail. It's just very pretty.
It's a very, very pretty Quicksilver Grail. Colors are wonderful, but we see the Frostborn Paladin come in.
Just a regular
mismatched art Frostborn Paladin.
Mitch told me when I gave him the CSR Frostborn Paladin to play today, he said, that's fine, but I'm going to put this in over one of my 3 promos and keep my mismatched regular non-foil Frostborn Paladin. And I said, all right, do it, lady. You can do it.
That's I respect it. I respect it. Maybe we need a Frostborn Paladin reprint so we can get a 4th art for Mr. ZTR God here.
Yeah, that's what we need. We do need a 4th Frostborn Paladin, absolutely. This is really cool too. Mitch put the Censor of Restful Peace underneath that Sacramental Rite. So when Jujuwu went to discard that float, Mitch then brought out the Censor to immediately kind of disable the line to be able to get that value out of it. And Jujuwu instead goes to bring out the Portentous Tengu just to draw a little more instead. I think a nice play right now for Mitch that is once again just kind of trying to shift the velocity in his favor just enough, and he needs it right now, being that he's only found 1 Fractal this game.
Yep, so Jujuwu is going to go for the Tengu, like you said. Tengu came in from the sideboard. I'm going to guess most likely over the Nullifying Lantern. I don't think water cards and Grave really have any effect here for Fractal's deck anymore.
No, Lantern's dead in this matchup, so that's an easy grab. And looks like...
Just draw pass.
Yep, just a draw pass as well, going to a backup target from ZTR God. Yeah, I mean, this is a case where I'm looking at his hand. Are we just seeing a lot of yellow, or we see some Riles in there, but that Censor in play, or we're not seeing the Reduce?
I know we have a Regal Inquisition, an Excalibur, a Lightweaver's Assault, and I think it's a Luxem Sight.
That is a fair amount of advanced element stuff.
Oh, it's a striking Illuminance, sorry.
Yeah, Jujuwu doesn't have quite as much to play with here, but that's kind of affecting both players fairly equally. It's just that Mitch has a Frosthorn Paladin in play, and that is definitely a difference maker here.
Oh, the Song of Frost did come in. Both of them are in hand.
Yeah, that makes sense. Again, the Bullfrog is dead. You just bring that in so you can deal, because Song of Frost is actually really crazy against striking Illuminance when they go for the Lightweavers in response to get that reveal. It just can banish absolutely everything and shut it down. So he's happy to bring that in here. Mitch did find another Fractal and another Fractal of Insight, so he's going to go ahead, very likely to drop that here, dig a little more, and see where he's at. I think he's just doing some math right now on what he needs to have in play.
Interestingly enough, with where he's at right now, he could simply swing Frostborn Paladin, pass turn, full grip, all 9 or 10 cards in hand, and really make Jujuwu sweat. Right?
He could. But I think you really want to develop board a little bit here. The question is just, I think Mitch is asking, is whether or not he needs to keep this awake or can rest it in order to get the on-enter. It looks like he's going to keep it awake so he can keep that interaction, and he may be playing out. I see a Fracturize, I see Refractings, I see Gildas. Okay, so there's Gildas math happening.
That's spicy?
Yeah, but I think it's just one. Does he have 4 in hand right now?
I'm not 100% sure. I think he has like 5 or 6 cards in hand.
I think it's 4. I think it's 4.
So it is only going to come in for 1.
It's a 1 damage Gildas, but it represents another thing where, like, if those Gleaming Cuts came out now, Tyler, that's where it's like, oh, shoot, I wish I had the Gleaming, or not the Gleaming, excuse me, the Thieving Cut. I wish I had that. Cut.
Yep, that's a big one. So Juggle Knife's going to be played here. Banishes 2 Rile of the Abyss with the Juggle Knife. So he respects the sensor. He's like, I don't have a Reduced Ash right now. There's no point in trying to dig for it. I'm just going to play around.
Yep, we saw that earlier in a different matchup as well. Definitely just a solid play to go. That's fine. I can get my value elsewhere. I don't need to be riling necessarily. Gets the Juggle Knives back, Juggle Knives again, just digging, cycling through the deck.
Don't think we have a Dungeon Guide here in hand, though. It's a little unfortunate.
That is, the Dungeon Guide is kind of everything here.
Yeah, it needs to find a way to put cards down. So this is one of the disadvantages of playing that Juggle Knives here, is you don't have a way to put cards down at fast speed. I believe we see an Incapacitate, 2 Regal Inquisitions there. It's a really tough hand to be holding right now.
It really is. It's kind of the downfall of the level 3 deck with all the advanced element stuff, something people got very familiar with in the last metagame. And right now we're going into a pretty common scenario that I think a lot of players at home can at least commiserate with a little bit, where suddenly you're holding a grip of cool advanced element cards and your opponent's just going to try to attack you for 4 and 3, and then follow it up with whatever else they feel like doing on their turn to deal the additional damage. That's going to bring the Zander all the way to 16 damage taken, just 6 left. That actually means the 2 Refracting Missiles in Mitch's hand are lethal.
Yeah, it's looking pretty cooked. No available cards to be activated. Regal Inquisition is an exalted card, which means that you must have an advanced element unlocked to be able to use this. And then just a full grip of basically all Luxem cards, right? We have an Incapacitate, we have an Undying Dreams. He can put 2 cards down with the Undying Dream. That's fine. That you're still able to get the level up, but he might just die.
Yeah, it's and like Mitch is thinking too. Like, do you have Incapacitates right now? Like, what? Or do I just need to make you have them? Like, throw a Refracting Missile out. If you don't incap it, I mean, then the other one can likely come down too, potentially. Like, it's a situation where I think Mitch is kind of holding all the cards and just will force Jujuwu to act accordingly. But does need to put something down to try and achieve that balance if he wants to attack with Gildas. The awkward thing is, like, he has so many cards in hand that balance is, like, tough, right? Like, how do you math this out to achieve the balance? I think I see a Glimmering Refusal in hand as well, though. That's pretty big.
He does have a Glimmering Refusal, so Captivating Opulence here.
Ooh. Oh, this will
be simple.
This draws into memory, and that I think maybe sets up his balance here.
So that'll draw to memory. He's 1 off balance.
Now he's at balance. Now he's balanced. Yep. It's perfect. So he plays the Fractal. And this is why Gildas is so good in this deck. You're able to pretty easily set up 4 here, 4 here. When you use the power of reservable Fractals you can play, drawn to memory. Mitch found the line after a little bit of math. This is the line to get that damage from Gildas. Just really representing a crazy amount of damage. Jujuwu has to level to 3. And like you said, the tough thing is playing cards right now just to level. With the sensor in play, it's tricky, and then still has to have like the right mix of Luxem Sights and reveal triggers to be able to recover enough to not just be dead to a lot of Mitch's deck next turn.
So there's a potential line where Jujuwu says in end step, Undying Dreams, and Mitch goes Glimmering Refusal and makes him pay for everything. Otherwise, it gets banished and he can't use the floating memory, right?
Yeah.
That is a strong punish in this situation. Juju will really have to decide whether or not he can go for. He's gonna go for the backup charge. He's really trying to dig for that dungeon guide.
He wants dungeon guide so badly. The dungeon guide changes everything here. So he's got 2 draws to find it. I don't think that was that it.
He just drew for turn.
Oh, didn't activate the backup. You're gonna use the backup to level. He's using the backup to level. Wants to put 3 down to try and level, and is just gonna hope he can last another turn. That's got to be it. You put the 3 down, and then you can level with that. That is a tough position. I've seen it happen a few times. It's a tough position to be in.
It's an iron will.
It is. It's very slow. And the one thing is that about Fractals is if you're trying to take a slow strategy, Fractals does not want you to live in that case.
All right, so we're gonna see. Honestly, Mitch should just level up here, right? Turn on the Captivating Opulence, force Jujuwu to pay 5. For this backup charger.
Mitch is actually going to go for this Fire Resonance Bauble, though. And this is the tempt, right? This is like, okay, go ahead. Pop your Serene right now to disable this.
Yeah, so he knows now that Jujuwu doesn't have a Creative Shock or a Rattle the Abyss or anything that can get him cards down, right? He has to use the backup charger in this case. So Mitch is just baiting for different types of interaction. He's trying to fish for information with that materialization. And it's great, right? He has the Fracturize available. He's got
so
another
good.
Fractal now.
Yep.
We have 4 Fractals on board with the Fantasia. We have Shimmering for 5, Refracting Missile for 5, Gildas for up to 4, 1 to 4, and the Frostborn Paladin for 3. Frostborn Paladin brings us to, 13 here? If we get it to 17, 22, that's just 1 Shimmering.
It is literally 1 Shimmering, and he can Glimmering through a piece of interaction. It's keep in mind, backup charger costs. No, because he's not class bonus. If he went for it, it would cost 5 to activate too. Yeah, I think you were getting at that earlier. So that's that would be pretty cool here too. But yeah, there's Mitch is in a strong position now where it's his game to kind of push for right now. But
he looks so confident too. He just took a big sigh and leaned back.
Yeah. I think he's feeling all right. Of course, you're going up a game. You're in this position. You have this Gildas. It's just really right now, okay, where's my math on the balance here?
He's trying to figure out, how do I get there, right? He knows he has 2 kill spells, but he knows he needs to push the damage with Gildas as well. If he pushes the damage with Gildas going to 17, both of his kill spells are online for lethal, right?
Exactly.
He's assuming that at least 1 incapacitate's coming out from Jujuwu.
Yep. He's positive. With the hand size Jujuwu has, with everything that he hasn't played this game, there's at least 1 in-cap in here, and Mitch is just doing math on, like, how many in-caps can I fight through?
Yeah, because it's weird finding the balance, but then also being able to play 3 cards after that, right?
That's Fractals, baby.
It's hard, too, because when you look at this turn, it's like if you don't kill Jujuwu on this turn, it is very possible for him to fully stabilize.
Mitch actually is really debating just attacking with a raw Gildas for 1 right now. Which is, man, that is an interesting spot to be in. But attacking with a raw Gildas for 1 would make a Burst Asunder a lethal line if he's got 1 in hand there, just on its own, which will then force the interaction there. So I get that. That's interesting to do here. But Mitch is instead going for
an unstable Fractal.
Yeah, resting 2 Fractals to pay another Fractal. Okay. And here comes. Yeah,
he's going for balance.
He had to. Yeah, he is. He had to get the unstable Fractal out of hand, which is the first. That was the first trick. And now he goes for the Shimmering Refraction. The Refracting Missile. Jujuwu, do you have an in-cap, buddy?
Yeah. So regardless of the in-cap, so if he in-caps this, sure, removes the damage. It still becomes a floating memory. Gildas is now balanced. Gildas for 4 puts him in line to use the Shimmering Refraction for lethal here. I guess over lethal because you're at 6 at this point, right? So he has access to 2 Fractals. Still can find it.
Yep, there's the in-cap. There's the Gildas swinging in for 4.
And I don't think Jujuwu has another card available to him. He doesn't have another Incapacitate in hand, right?
He does not.
It's
it's
cooked.
Advanced Element. It is pretty cooked. As soon as he activates that backup charger, Mitch is going to shimmer.
And Mitch passed. He's waiting for him to put everything down.
Yeah, as soon as he backup chargers, Mitch is going to Shimmering Refraction.
He still has 3 cards in hand though.
3. Oh man, because is Mitch gonna? No, Mitch is not gonna put him on it. Oh, wow. That is, I mean, Mitch's
I think he's
position-
thinking about it. He's looking like he's thinking about it. He has to wait. Oh, is he going to go? He's got to go for it, right?
I think he has to go for it right now.
You're up a game. You got to go for it.
I think you do. I think you. Yep, there's the power cell. Just three cards in hand. Is one of those the second in cap? Mitch, can you call him on it right now?
This is scary. I'm actually scared because Jujuwu can stabilize. Right,
Yeah.
this is a scary position because he actually can stabilize from here.
Because that hand is absolutely crazy. It is full of advanced element stuff.
Does he face check the in cap? He knows one in cap is gone. Face checking. Oh, maybe he's waiting to see if an in cap gets banished from there. But the face check, is he going to go for it? He's going to go for it.
He's in response to the materialize of the Zander, goes for the Shimmering Refraction, punching in for 5 damage, and
he got
lethal. Mitch takes it in 2 games with that Water Fractal deck securing his spot in day 2 of Ascent Boston. Unfortunately, Jujuwu just had a rough go in that second game, man. So many advanced element cards, not a lot of action.
That was a rough hand. It was a rough hand. I do really think he needed to play that Undying Dreams. He needed to just level up, start playing the game, because he basically sat there, draw pass. I draw Dungeon Guide off the top. No, pass. Dungeon Guide off the top, pass.
Yeah,
and it just didn't work.
Every time that Sacramental Right with the sensor under it, obviously pretty effective too. Mitch is very, very experienced at put the sensor out and make them answer it. And if they can't, then that's the advantage, right? And that's exactly what we saw there. Sensor is such a powerful card in this metagame right now and is sometimes going to deny these level 3 decks the win like that.
Yeah, because on top of denying them, like forcing them to go -1 card for your -1 materialization, you also slow them down from being able to play like double Creative Shock, so they can play 1 Reduced Ash or 1 Creative Shock, instead of playing Creative Shock, Rile the Abyss, Rile the Abyss, Creative Shock, Rile the Abyss, Rile the Abyss, right? When you look at it in terms of card advantage, the 1 materialization is almost, I would say almost, it actually is always worth it, right?
Yeah, it's worth a card out of their hand, but also usually half a turn for them early on. And the thing about card advantage in Grand Archive in particular is that it compounds. It's a snowball effect. You gain that card advantage early on, and then you have additional actions on turn 2, on turn 3, on turn 4. So the sooner you can just stymie your opponent's ability to build that up, the more benefit you gain from it as the game goes on.
Yeah, and especially against a control deck like Luxem, right? Luxem Zander is genuinely just a control deck. You play defensively, go neutral or go plus up to level 3. You get to level 3, you start just putting cards down and then using reveal effects. You don't actually have to go negative. You don't have to play cards generally. So when you're able to stifle a control deck, it really compounds how much you slow down their game plan. Right, in that game, we saw the sensor comes out from the Sacramental Right, or the Quicksilver Grail, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the effects of Sacramental Right. You do that, right? And then you stifle the 1 turn, and it turns into every turn you gain like a quarter of a turn over your opponent, right? You're gaining a slow incremental advantage that just compounds to the point where you could just kill them with nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we saw at play both games. Sensor Raw 1 game. I kind of wonder if part of that was Mitch wanted to make sure the Sacramental Right got played on stream. Like, he could have just put out the Sensor Raw, but did bait out the play with it. So it was certainly not like not just a flex play, but I'm sure he was happy to go, you know what, if anything's going to put me over on playing this right out, it's the fact that it's the first time on stream. So let me just...
he had to get the win first in case he lost, and he's like, I don't want to play this on stream if I'm going to lose.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
But maybe we can see more of that Sacramental Right tomorrow, because day 2 is going to be pretty spicy.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to see both the Sacramental and the CSR Frosthorn Paladin. So yeah, a lot of fun to see that matchup. Really unfortunate about Jujuwu making it there. I'm very curious to see what other Luxem decks placed wherever they landed, to see if any other ones were able to cut into day 2. But as we saw looking at the standings going into this,
Sarav was 7-1 going into round 9 on Luxem Zander, so that was a big one.
Yep.
He did get a little cooked by the Vanitas deck. Came over, he's like, I died in 20 minutes. I'm like, oh, that's rough. That's really rough.
Punch for 3. Punch for
Punch
5.
for 3. Hit. punch for 5. Heat of Vengeance for 10.
Yeah, that's a spicy deck. That's a pretty sweet deck to see. But now we definitely know there's at least one Fractal deck going into day 2 as well, and that's a deck that's really a wrench in things, right? A deck that nobody here was expecting to see, maybe a couple real smart players, right? But a lot of players thinking, yeah, whatever, Fractals is cooked. No loss in thought, like whatever. Nobody's going to bring that. But there were a couple seeing, and I think, I don't know if we saw Perfy made it in as well. Perfy's on Fractals too, though. And so there could be at least 2 Fractal players that we know of that are in there just trying to throw a spanner into whatever you guys are planning against. So I'm very excited to see just how that affects the ultimate standings of everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff today. A lot of really interesting decks. I think what I'm looking to see is I want to know if any of the like Mad Hatter decks made it in, because that deck is so fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like Cheshire Cat, Mad Hatter, Banish, bring out Ranger Strides, insta-kill you. It's just funny to watch, and I think it's one of those interesting decks. Looking at the conversions, there's a lot of different things. So I actually, the deck that I want to see the most is I wanted to see if anyone played Fire Diao Chan Fractals and made it. Because for me, Ignis Deus has its own special place in my heart, as it was my spoiler.
No, sure.
So I want to see it like do well, right? I want to see someone top with that card.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did see it get played, that Polcock deck earlier, which is actually another Mad Hatter Ranger Strides deck. So that's got to be a deck that you were excited to see get played and hoping it does well. And Polcock was doing well early on. But we really did see a lot of aggro decks get kind of pushed down throughout the rest of the day. It's a pretty common thing we see at Ascent, where the level of competition goes up just a little bit more. There's just maybe 1 or 2 like free win matches that you don't get at an Ascent that you might at another event, and that sometimes is the difference between making day 2 and not.
Yeah, and aggro is a little bit harder at this matchup. So in most seasons, aggro is like a great deck to bring into first Ascent. It's a little tougher this time because CL is so popular. Being a 30 life champion on top of genuinely being mainly Serene, right? There's like what? Probably 80-90% of the players on CL are playing Serene if they're playing Fire. And then on top of that, Jin's popularity, right? Jin showing up at this event. Some people are playing Serene, some people aren't playing Serene. Jin really has the way to get around the aggro deck, even without being on a Serene release force. It's still pretty good. Berserker's Plate's fantastic. You have cards like Sovereign Sanctuary and other stuff like that.
Yeah, that it is very exciting just to see all that. But we are going to be going to tomorrow. We'll be joining again for day 2, which is going to be, of course, the most exciting day that you're not going to want to miss. So thank you guys so much for watching today. But before we sign off, we do have that interview with Maindeck Mitch, which should be a blast to watch. Stay tuned for that, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Peace, guys.
Hey, everyone. I want to say, real quick, congrats to you on your winning in for round 9 here for day 2. Mitch, how are you feeling after that match?
Yeah, I'm feeling really good about that. It felt nice.
Yeah. I mean, so we're going to talk real quick here. So, Maindeck Mitch, you are on Fractals, which we did see you play even at Worlds. But it's a little different now. We have Lost in Thought banned. How is that changing how you play the deck?
Well, so we had to find a replacement, obviously.
Yeah.
And in that spot, I slid in just 1 more refreshment just for help filtering the draws. And then, surprisingly, I put some frogs in my deck.
Yes.
Feeling a little ribbity.
Yeah, Thronekeeper Bullfrog. We definitely saw that. Now, is that card in there? I mean, we didn't see it come up in this match because, Luxem might not be attacking too often here. But what are the main matchups that comes into play?
So I've played it in almost every matchup. Like Tristan, it stops their chip damage from Sadies.
Sure.
It helps keep your Gildas and your Frostworms alive to get chip damage in.
Yeah.
It helps stop Suzaku aggro decks, allies. It's just, hey, if you're aggro, I have a taunt with float. It's like a shield made on steroids.
Sure. Makes sense. And another thing we're also seeing from your guys' deck is that you guys are playing, and I think Perfy is also on a similar deck list to you, but you guys are on 1 Jianyu in the main and 1 Captivating Opulence in the main. Yep. Now, is this something that you're putting in over the 4th and of both the Intrusion and the Refreshment, or is this something that you would just prefer to play over those in general?
Prefer over in general.
Okay.
So there are games where Jianyu wins the game, like you saw in that match. I was like, all right, in cap, you can't counter my spell. All right, now you're dead.
Yes.
No other card in the game can do that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And then for Captivating, obviously you have to respect the Clarent from Lorraine.
Sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We have seen Lorraine's in general today. We've seen some Ensol decks playing. I don't think we saw one quite with Clarent yet, but there are also stuff like Suited, and so it makes a lot of sense to have that in there for those decks that can bring out that Clarent reimagined, and you really prevent those bursts of Sunders for multiple turns in a row.
Yes, multiple turns is rough.
Yes,
especially with if they have pressure to back it up.
Yeah, I'm sure it can feel pretty rough at a lot of points in time, but I also want to talk really quick about your sideboard. Now, something interesting that I don't think we've even seen in any Fractals, which is Novice Healer specifically. Now, is this a card you're playing to sort of help put more allies on board, or is it just kind of a combination of recover, or what is it in there for?
So it's a mix of both. So against the Suzaku aggro decks or suited decks, you just want more things to help clear the board and
Sure.
recover. Because Suzaku, a lot of them are just trying to just barely eke out the damage. So any
Yeah.
kind of recovery you can have is great.
Makes sense.
Obviously, if they have the interference to stop it, it's rough, but
Yeah. And I want to talk about real quick. So game one, pretty fast. I think it was about
Yep.
a little over
That
14
was
minutes long.
how he wrote it up, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that's your optimal game plan, going for 3 fractal start, of course.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
is going into a match like Luxem, Fire Luxem, any different from last set? Because now they are on that Royal package. Do you feel like it's as a scary matchup? Feels like it's exactly the same, or what's your mindset? Like, did you feel pretty good going into the round?
Yeah, so the actual card I'm afraid of from Zander, if I get to level 3, is Regal Inquisition.
Sure.
Because they just get to take all my damage spells, all my bursts, and I have a bunch of dead fractals and bullfrogs in my hand.
Yeah, the bullfrogs definitely makes sense there. And then in game 2, we saw you actually brought in the Song of Frost. Now,
Yep.
were you playing those for any specific reason?
To stop thieving cuts as well as striking illuminance.
Striking them. So I did hear that Maindeck was talking about that and wondering if that was the case. So, but thank you so much for being here. Congrats on making day 2. Tomorrow we will be back here at 8:30 EST. The stream will start then. Round 1 will be starting around then too. So definitely tune in to see that. We'll see you guys there.